Hello everyone, welcome back to Tony Sports Games for another video in our Dynasty playthrough series here with the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns on the road to glory. This should be, I think, episode 11. Yeah, episode 11 already. Hope everyone had a great week and a Merry Christmas last week. New Year's is quickly approaching. I haven't exactly decided what exact date I'm going to schedule this to upload. Maybe it'll be on New Year's Day. Maybe we'll just go back to Fridays. But welcome in, regardless, as we head into a new year here. A couple things channel-wise, just wanted to update you on. First and foremost, I'm going to attempt to, as I've mentioned before, I want to bring the length of these videos down a bit if I can. I want to still have good information, but keep bringing them a little bit shorter to kind of the sweet spot. I want to end up maybe averaging under 30 minutes or so, which is tough to do because there's a lot of actions to do every week, especially early in the year. And then if you think, if we ever play a game or spectate a game, of course, that eats up a lot of time. But decided to dust off my old Twitch channel, and I think what we're going to try to do moving forward is I will continue to upload a video once a week in this series, usually on Fridays. That will be, whether it's every other week or every 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, just updating on the progress, doing some of the actions, but more kind of reviewing the team as we've been doing. All that content in between each YouTube video, this is the goal anyway. We're going to give it a try. I'll be playing through the weeks in between on Twitch. So if you follow us on Twitch, head over. It's at Tony Sports Games, I believe. So www.twitch or www.twitch.tv/Tony Sports Games, I think. Yeah. Anyway, I'll link it in here. But on probably Saturday mornings or maybe Sundays, early afternoons, as I have time, we'll try to play live on Twitch. I can answer questions during that, and you guys can see, if you want to see all of the clicks and all the stuff that has to be done, the decisions that have to be made in between these videos, we'll be doing it on Twitch. So as far as our Cajuns go, first you saw there on the homepage, of course we have a nice little story about how Kevin Sturgis, our defensive tackle, and our coach love each other, and that's a good thing. Kevin is playing very, very well. We'll take a look at this last game we had. He was key, absolutely instrumental. But for this video, I'm just going to review the bye weeks and our last game against Troy, and then take a look forward to a big game we have coming up next at South Alabama, who won the Sun Belt last year. Big opportunity for us. We are making some progress here in season 1. I'm really excited about where this team is headed. We've made some decisions on the depth chart and some adjustments we need to make to improve this team as we head into the meat of the conference schedule. So we'll take a look at all that. Thanks for joining, and away we go. Okay, so first and foremost, we are now in week 7. So after our last video, we ended losing at Tulane, and kind of looking ahead to what was next, we had 2 bye weeks back to back. So it was a lot of recruiting and not a lot else. As you can see, we haven't gotten any other recruits, and we'll take a look at that in a minute because we're basically at a point now where I don't have a lot of money left. There's a lot of guys that we are in the mix or where they're only offers, but they're not that interested. So this is going to be one of those years where recruiting is going to drag out probably to week 9, 10, 11, and we're going to lose some of those guys. We're probably going to get some of them, which will be good players for us. And the guys we lose, we're just going to have to move off to fallback options. But we have enough money to scout and interview. We don't have a lot for official visits and things like that left, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. So offline, I actually played a game. I played this game, our first conference game, home against Troy. And as you can see, we came out with a nice win to open our conference slate here. Um, you know, I do I don't play all the games. I like simming the games too because this game at the end of the day it is it's a puzzle game with football in it. It's figuring out the puzzle pieces of your coaching staff and your players and the right plays to call, and having that work through simming is nice. But I do have to agree with War Eagle that when you play the whole game, or if you watch the whole game, but especially if you play it, you really get a feel for what your players can do, what plays can work, and it definitely helps you make adjustments moving forward. So this was a big game for us. Defensive player of the game here, and definitely the player of the game for us, Kevin Sturgis, our nose tackle, transferred from LSU. This guy is going to be a very dominant force in the Sun Belt. He completely dominated this game. I'll get to the overall game stats in a second, but I want to give Kevin his moment in the sun. If you look here, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 9 quarterback knockdowns. He forced a fumble and recovered the fumble on the same play. It was a very key play early in the game where we flushed their quarterback out. He went to scramble, and it looked like he had a ton of green grass in front of him. And then somehow, flying up from the middle of the field, Sturgis, he disengaged from, really it was a double team block as he was trying to pass rush. He got to the sideline, hit the quarterback, forced the fumble, scooped it up. It was a massive play, and he was a dominant force in this game. So that's great for us moving forward. And seeing that actually play out in the game, it tells me that, moving forward, we can play like some 3-3-5 wide. We can lean more in toward the wide formations because the center is very solidified with Kevin in there. So, our team is not without weaknesses. Offense is still a bit of a struggle, but we are making strides. I think we can accomplish our goal for this season of at least getting to bowl eligibility, and we may even, if we do a really good job with our game plans, we may be able to push towards the top of the Sun Belt. But a lot of work to do there. But as you can see in this game, we dominated time of possession. We ran the ball very, very well. 46 attempts for 244 rushing yards. Once I got ahead here late in the third quarter and on, we really kept it on the ground and were able to chew up a lot of clock and move the ball on the ground. Our defense played pretty well. They moved the ball at times, but we forced 3 turnovers. That was really key. And all in all, it was a good team performance. So Enriquez didn't have to throw it too many times, but he was pretty efficient. 76% completion percentage, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. He was sacked 4 times. Pass protection is an issue, and we're going to be making some tweaks on the offensive line to try and shore that up. But got our running game going finally. Got both of our main backs, Levy and Elliott, going. Edwards was pretty good on some quarterback runs as well. And that, not a lot of passes to go around, but we spread the ball around. Norman, again, caught 3 of 3 targets. Levy caught both of his targets, and I saw from playing this out that, running back screen, running back post, these are going to be things that we can go to more later in the year because he's a very good receiving option at running back. And I'm really encouraged by what we're seeing out of him. Other than that, as I said, on defense, it was really the Kevin Sturgis show. He dominated this game in every way. Galarza, one of our defensive ends, also with 2 TFLs, a sack, a hurry, a knockdown. Very good stuff there. And our freshman free safety, Eric Carrico, forced a fumble, also defense to pass. Herman Paul, 2 passes defensed, 1 interception. So really pretty good stuff all around here. Now, a couple tweaks I have made. there's a few of them, but most notably in our looking at our passing offense. So I've gone ahead and put a red shirt on our second tight end that was converted from wide receiver. That's Paul Felder. And we'll see if we're able to leave it there the rest of the season. But if you look through the first, handful of games here, he basically has one catch. And he hasn't been drawing really hardly any targets. He hasn't even been playing a lot of snaps. We're not throwing as much out of two tight end as I'd like. I would like to bump that up, but we're going to put a red shirt on him. David Cook, I think, since he was a tight end last year, can fill that role for us, and our wide receivers are healthy so far, so we're going to do that. Then at right tackle, now one of the freshmen that I did not have a playing time promise on was this Antonio McNeil, and he was starting at right tackle. He's given up 3 sacks through the first 4 games here, and I think he just needs to develop a little more. He's not very athletic. Agility is quite low. Speed is quite low. Decent hands for an offensive lineman, but not seeing anything out of him that, I really want to keep him in there. So if Salgado's healthy, we're going to try Salgado at right tackle. Now, last year, he gave up 6 sacks during the season. And he gave up, 2 or 3 sacks in our spring game. So, it is possible we may have to make a further adjustment. But if he plays the next few weeks, we're going to see how he does. And as long as he's not worse than the freshman, let's just preserve an extra year of eligibility there. Still rolling with our guards here. Nobody's been really, really great in pass protection, quite frankly. And then on running plays, Cervantes has been pretty solid. He has 27 pancakes. And then John Harris on the other side. See, we have a playing time promise on him. He hasn't been really too impressive. Only 2 pancakes, but 0 missed blocks. So he's been, I guess, getting the job done. That's kind of the story for most of our offensive line. Not a lot of pancakes, so we're not really moving people off the ball, but not missing blocks either. I think this Fur getting in here over Ramirez was a substitution as well. We do have a playing time promise on Ramirez, so I can't leave him on the bench forever, but he's just not doing a whole lot either. So, offensive line is young, and they're doing okay, but not great. Then on defense, only real changes I made, I've moved Ronald Parker, this is the default package here. Yeah, I've moved Ronald Parker into the second cornerback slot over Markham. Markham doesn't have much corner skill because he's a converted free safety, and he's given up a pretty high catch rate, not putting up a ton of production. Parker's been pretty good in his limited snaps, so we're moving him up. And then I moved Jason Longo up at free safety in some other packages too, mostly just because he has allowed 0 catches. On 5 targets, he's broken up 3 out of the 5 times they've thrown at him. So he limited snaps. I want to get his snaps up and see if that keeps up. Carrico's doing okay, but I like what I see out of him. And then, moving forward more, I want to try to get Leo Armstead into the game. So a lot of these linebackers have been producing okay. No one's been bad, but I like what Leo did in those first couple games, getting a healthy snap count. So I made a second 3-3-5 base package, and this one is for short. And I put Leo in at right outside linebacker in that package. And then the base, Ira Miller, is there. And then the other change was the corners here. Markham is a better tackler, so I'm leaving him in short situations. But so we just made this update here. So the 3-3-5 base short package being used in 1 to 5 to go. The base package being used for 6+. So not a lot of changes there. As far as recruiting goes, I mentioned it earlier. Basically where we're at is we've got not a lot of money left, less than $1 million, and we've got a lot of guys that we are in on. We're pretty much the only offers across most of these guys, other than the one guy I'm battling LSU for is this Jeffrey Randolph, and he's been interested in us from the beginning, so I'm just kind of choosing to try and fight it out for him. But even on him, I'm not spending any more money on home visits. We're going to just hang out with these guys, all these guys down to, really probably 1,100 or so are kind of above where our prestige says we should be able to pull from, but we're the only offer on most of these guys, or they don't have any strong favorites, or they're like this guy's favorites Utah State. So can we maybe squeak him out at the end? I don't know. So what's going to happen over the next few weeks here? Obviously, we have a lot of scholarships to still fill. And I don't want to go to the portal with 10, 12 plus scholarships again. So I have other targets, that we can fall back to at a lot of these positions. Over the next week, 9, 10, 11, some of these guys are just going to commit. And if we're still their only offer, we're going to get a handful of them. So we will take those ones to the bank. They're going to help us a lot. These are all much better players than pretty much we have on the team right now. And the other guys that get offers late from other schools and don't commit to us, I have fallback options that we will move to, after they commit. And that's just kind of how it's going to be. That's the situation we're in. So it's going okay. We're just we don't have a lot of commits yet, but still excited about this guy. This is a good player. So we're off to an okay start, just a little short on money, and we'll have to slide down the board to fill our class, but that's okay. We kind of built a greedy board, really reaching on some guys that we're probably not going to end up getting, but if we get a few of them, that's going to make a big difference for our team over the next couple years here. So moving forward now, this is a big game for us in Week 7. We are at South Alabama. They are sitting at 2-2. They actually lost to at ULM last week. So ULM off to a pretty good start here this season. But the one thing about South Alabama, now they're probably still better than us, talent-wise. They've got some pretty good players here compared to us, but they are very, very heavy toward the run. They're actually number 1 in the country in rush yardage per game outside the top. I mean, they're 134 out of I don't even know how many in pass yards per game. There's not a lot. How many? Let's see. Leaders, team stats, passing. They're way down here. Yards. Yeah, they're towards the bottom. So, they're going to be a tough game for us, but at least we know what to do against them. So what I've actually gone ahead and done for this game, I created a defensive playbook to use on the early downs against them, and I'm calling it outside run defense. It is 3-3-5 wide and 5-2 wide. So we're going to use this exclusively on first and second downs. This has not been a good play for us. But I'm not going to take it out because we may have used that against LSU and Tulane. So I don't know if it's really this bad. I mean, we're going to find out. But so offensively, we are still fairly balanced. I think it might be a good idea to tap this down just a little bit. I think we probably need to be balanced to slightly run focused, but we will see how this goes, and then we're going to try to focus their main running back. As I looked at their play calling, which this is how you can do this, you go to play analysis. I'm going to go down to South Alabama, And so then this sorts by how many times they've run each of these plays. So if you look here, outside run, outside run, outside run, outside run, outside run, outside run, outside run. A lot of outside runs here. Another one here. So they run it inside too, but I think they're just heavily enough skewed that we can do outside running and be okay. So now if we update ourselves on how the top 25 has shook out the last couple weeks, I'll just pick out the upsets here. You guys can see the board. So in week 5 we had, let's see, this was a big game. Penn State 45-7 at home over Oregon. Let's see, any upsets. Tulane looking real good, 5-0. Old Dominion looking real bad. They were in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game last year, but it's not looking good for them so far at 0-5. Georgia with a narrow win at home over Arkansas. Number 23 Iowa, they're 4-0 at this point, beating Ohio State at home. Let's see, Duke winning. Michigan State, number 20, barely winning at home against Wisconsin, but they're 5-0. And 17 North Carolina lost at Louisville. That was about the only upset really there. And then as far as the Sun Belt goes, we had Marshall winning again. They're 5-0 to start the year. ULM winning at Florida. So ULM definitely a force to be reckoned with here. James Madison's only win is at Texas. I don't know what's going on with them, but they lose again. Southern Mississippi loses again. Then in week 6 in the Sun Belt, of course, we beat Troy. Marshall with another win at Old Dominion. ULM beating South Alabama, as we mentioned earlier. Georgia State, big win at home over Georgia Southern. Southern Mississippi gets their first win of the year at Appalachian State. Couple bad teams there. Hopefully we play them both and beat them both. James Madison loses at New Mexico. And Texas State loses at home to Arkansas State. So Texas State, a little bit of a mixed bag early in the year. They won a couple games early. Now they've lost a couple games. And that takes us to week 7. Top 25 games in week 6. You had, let's see, USC winning at UCLA. LSU winning at home. Oklahoma winning at home. Penn State, big win on the road. Illinois, pretty rough start to the year, 1-4. Miami, big win at home over Clemson. Michigan dominates Maryland at home. See any upsets here? Not seeing any. Baylor wins 23-17 at UCF. That's a good win for them. Iowa, another win. Georgia, number 8 Georgia, loses at Texas. So Texas has really had, they lose to James Madison, but then they've won a couple big games also. So a little volatile there. I don't think there's any other upsets. Let's see. Yeah, Temple escapes at home versus Tulsa. Oregon wins South Florida, and North Carolina was still ranked, and they win. So moving forward now to week 7. Week 7. We have Oklahoma at Missouri. Number 1 goes down. Missouri with a home upset against Oklahoma. That's a big game. Number 2, USC just keeps on winning. They defeat number 4 Penn State at USC. They're going to be a lot to deal with. We got to take a look at their stats here when we get about halfway through the season, which I guess we're pretty much there. But LSU, big win at Vanderbilt. Number 5 Florida State, big win at Virginia. No surprise there. Number 6 Utah defeats Houston at home. Number 8 Miami, Florida goes down. Big road win for Cal. Overtime game. Cal wins 38-31 at the U. Tennessee now 5-0 with a win at Ole Miss. Number 10 Baylor wins at Kansas State. Iowa has been on a roll and they lose. Nebraska with a huge fourth quarter. Wow. 22-7 in the fourth quarter there to win at Iowa. So Iowa will be dropping a bit in the polls. Tulane still undefeated. Wins at home against ECU. Number 16 now Texas loses their second straight on the road at Florida. Florida with a big fourth quarter to pull that one out. Let's see. Notre Dame wins at NC State. No surprise there. Number 18 Ohio State wins at Wisconsin. Wisconsin has had a lot of games against ranked teams to start their season here. That's rough. Number 19 Iowa State with a big win at Arizona. Number 20 Michigan State loses at lowly Purdue. Purdue, another big fourth quarter here by a home team, 22-0. Very exciting for the folks in West Lafayette. Number 21 Temple, 5-0 with a 23-15 win over North Texas. Number 22 Oregon loses big on the road at Indiana. That's a nice win for Indiana there. UCF wins at UConn, and South Florida defeats Florida Atlantic. So now we move to the Sun Belt. And let's do these other games here. Coastal at Marshall. Marshall has not lost yet, and they keep it rolling. So Marshall up to 6-0. They've got to be flirting with the top 25 here soon, I would think. Georgia State wins at home over James Madison. They're still their lone win at the time number 6 Texas. That's wild. Can Old Dominion finally get a win? Yes. Okay. Old Dominion gets their first win of the year at home against Texas State, who falls to 2-3. Southern Mississippi gets their doors blown off at Arkansas State. And Appalachian State with a big road win at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern looking pretty pitiful as well. I'm going to save our game here. So if we look at some standings here in the Sun Belt, Marshall, the class of the conference so far, at 6-0. They're in full control here in the East. In the West, you have Arkansas State and ULM both off to a 2-0 start. We have an opportunity to join them this week, but we will see about that. All the way at the bottom here, Georgia Southern, James Madison, Old Dominion, Appalachian State, Southern Mississippi, some teams struggling to start the year here. So let us go ahead. Let's see. How are we doing on time here? We are at 28 minutes. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to play this game. This will be our first game on Twitch. So whether it's next weekend, I'm not sure when exactly I'll be able to do that, because it might be into the new year because we're going to be traveling. But when we return, we will play at South Alabama. I guess when we return on YouTube, we will update ourselves on how that goes. But in the meantime, if you want to see the in-between weeks action live, you can follow me on Twitch, Tony Sports Games. I'll link it in the description. That brings us up to date on how the team's doing. So moving forward, I think this is going to be a tough game. Hopefully we can come out on top there. Then, our last non-conference game, if we win this, we could go 2-2 in the non-conference, but that will be tough. Washington State's a decent team, probably better than us. If we can get a couple of these wins here, a couple of these games are road games, but we could be rolling into these last couple weeks with a chance to at least be bowl eligible. And maybe we can even make a little noise in the Sun Belt down the stretch here. So that will be very exciting if we can do it. But for now, that's our update. We're going to keep dialing in our offense, keep working the ball into our freshman running backs, try to keep getting our pass offense better, and work on our game plans down the stretch. This is the opportunity where back half of the season against the CPU, what they do, gives us an opportunity to plan against them. And we have a little bit better players than we did last year. So a lot of freshmen making some strides. We're going to keep coaching them up. We will see if we can get a big win to go 2-0 in conference at South Alabama. And we're going to keep on building this thing. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Go Cajuns, baby. Go Cajuns. Hopefully I'll see you guys on Twitch live sometime. In any case, we'll see you back here for the next video.